Given all the controversy NASCAR found itself in going into this season, I'd have to say that this year's Daytona 500 was not only acceptable, but very entertaining. I quite enjoyed myself. It's not just the Cup Series having their season started at Daytona this weekend. They also had three other series start their weekends at Daytona. The Craftsman Truck Series on Friday, and a doubleheader on Saturday with the ARCA Menard Series and the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series. The truck race on Friday was highly anticipated because it was the return of Ram to NASCAR with Colleague Racing. Tony Stewart was in that race too, as was Travis Pastrana. The race itself was, I thought the race was all right. The highest finishing Ram was Brendan Queen, Butterbean. He finished 8th. Justin Haley, who was also on a Ram, led some laps too. He ended up finishing towards the back of the pack after running out of gas on the final lap, which is disappointing given that besides Queen, he was also one of the highest performing Rams of that race. Tony Stewart didn't have a good day. He crashed out. The other two Rams who were in that race were Minnie Tyrell and Daniel Dye. Daniel Dye had a quiet race, didn't really do anything. He ended up finishing 17th. Minnie Tyrell, who was the winner of the Ram Race for the Seat TV show, he ended up finishing 19th after hanging out in the back of the pack all day. So, a decent debut for them. Cletus McFarland, who was also in that race, he crashed out on lap 5. And so, his truck debut ended before he can get started. Unfortunate for him. The winner of that race was Chandler Smith. And this happened on the heels of him missing the Daytona 500 in his qualifying race. So good on him. And I know I'm downplaying it here, but if you haven't seen the finish of that race, give it a watch. It is insane, man. So coming to the line, Chandler Smith was in 5th or 6th. He's way back. And up front is Gio Ruggiero, John Hunter Nemechek, and a few others. And they were so preoccupied with trying to block the top lane, they forgot about the bottom lane. That opened the door for Chandler Smith to go and steal the win. It was incredible. If you haven't seen it, check it out. The ARCA race at Daytona, I thought was fine. Minnie Tyrell was going to make his ARCA debut, and because he's under contract with Ram, that means he needs to drive a Ram vehicle. But Ram makes trucks. So, what do? They take a Chevrolet SS, cover it in Ram sponsorship, and just work with it. It's kind of funny. One team that I was rooting for was the local guys, Robbie Keneally and Jan's Towing. Jan's Towing, in case you didn't know, in addition to being a tow truck company out here in California, they also have a race team. They run ARCA Menard Series West cars, and they also ran some late model stuff. And they ran races at Kevin Harvick's current raceway in Bakersfield, Irwindale Speedway when they were still in operation, Orange Show Speedway, Madera Speedway, Stockton, All-American, races at the Bullring, you name it, Jan's Towing is there. They ended up finishing 15th that day. Cletus McFarland, who ran the truck race the day before, had a much better ARCA race. He was able to actually finish in 11th, with all 4 wheels and all 4 fenders intact. A very stark contrast to his debut the previous year, where he was crashed out early in the race and had spent most of the day in the broadcast booth. Isabella Robusto, who was one of the favorites, ended her day after the halfway point with engine problems. The winner of the ARCA race was Giovanni Ruggiero. Less than 24 hours after losing the truck race in agonizing fashion, he gets the win in the ARCA Menards race. The O'Reilly Auto Parts Series at Daytona, I thought was pretty good, right? There was a funny moment towards the end of the race where Natalie Decker forgot how to use the brakes.
Tina, for the love of God, turn away or stop! The brakes, Tina, on the left, you're about to hit that car! The brakes! Hit the brakes!
Oh my God, it's bad.
I ruined the car.
You did. You really did.
The winner of the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series race was Austin Hill. Austin Hill has become the Daytona and Talladega merchant, and it's now become a battle of, can anyone stop that man? So far, nobody has. Now, on to the 500. So for those who don't know, this year's Daytona 500 was actually bumped up an hour. Yeah, there was rain in the forecast, and they needed to get the race in on time because Monday was looking even worse. And to my surprise, they got all 200 laps, all 500 miles in perfectly. Good on NASCAR. Good on them. It was also very windy today. Bart Simpson waves the green flag and everything goes off to a smooth start. Kyle Busch is able to lead the first lap, but he doesn't hold it for long as John Hunter Nemechek takes the lead away from him on lap 4. The very next lap, the caution comes out. Now, remember how Anthony Alfredo got disqualified for having an illegal part in his car? Well, BJ McLeod, the guy who took his spot, was the cause of the accident. He spins and he hits some cars and the wall in the process. BJ is unfortunately done for today after 5 laps. Ouch. The other cars that were involved in the accident were all trying to avoid the spinning McLeod. Tyler Reddick got hit in the rear by McLeod as he was spinning. Justin Allgaier got up into the wall trying to avoid him. Chris Buescher also suffered some damage, as did William Byron. On the apron, the cars are trying to avoid the spin. Noah Gragson and Casey Mears. Casey Mears was another car that got into the 500, and he rear-ended Noah Gragson trying to avoid the accident. Casey Mears was able to continue, but if he was slow before, it's going to be even slower now. Under this first caution period, almost everyone comes into the pits to get gas. The only one who stays out is Kyle Busch. This is a gamble. Let's see if this pays off. It's surprisingly very calm, very unusual for Daytona, which might be the theme of this race, and I'll talk about it as we get going. Now, just because this race is calmer than it usually is doesn't mean that nothing chaotic is happening. In fact, we have our first instance of the wind pushing someone. And unfortunately, the victim is Kyle Busch, who gets loose in turn 4 and almost takes out Brad Keselowski. Thankfully, both cars are able to continue with no damage whatsoever. So far, the dominant cars in this first stage are Kyle Busch, John Hunter Nemechek, and Chase Briscoe. So a Chevy and 2 Toyotas. Ford, surprisingly, hasn't been a factor at all up to this point. Very strange, as Ford is usually one of the stronger OEMs on Daytona. Now, it's time for green flag pit stops. And if William Byron had a bad day before with all that damage from the lap 5 accident, it's going to get even worse now, as Shane Van Gisbergen shoves him into the wall for literally no reason during the pit cycle. Ouch. Amidst all of this, too, Jimmy Johnson, another one of the open cars, spins coming on the pit road and is almost stuck in the grass. He'll be put 1 lap down. Through all these cycling, the Ford somehow were able to stay out, and Zane Smith gets the Stage 1 victory. So as Stage 2 gets started, there is a major shift in where the cars are placed. A lot of the cars that were, hanging back in Stage 1 are now leading in Stage 2. This shakeup is so weird, we get leaders like Cody Ware and Justin Allgaier. Denny Hamlin also starts to show his face, as does Bubba Wallace. If it's not clear yet, the favorite OEM so far, it's freaking Toyota. Yeah, of all people. While this is happening, Connor Zillage finds his way up towards the front in his Red Bull Chevrolet. Something fun's about to happen. Unfortunately, that fun's about to be put to a stop real quick, as a chain reaction on lap 85 causes a caution that takes out some competitors. Austin Dillon has his own arc of brakes moment and doesn't avoid the spinning Chase Briscoe coming into the pits. After the cleanup, the racing resumes. Ross Chastain leads lap 100. We are officially halfway. If the rain comes out, the race is over. One of the surprisingly new leaders at this point of the race is Shane Van Gisbergen. Yeah, the road course ace is leading the Daytona 500. That's crazy. Unfortunately, that calmness we've been seeing throughout the first stage of the race is about to come to an end. As with 5 laps to go in the second stage, a massive pileup happens on the front stretch when Justin Allgaier puts a bad block on Denny Hamlin and takes out the entire field, basically, on the front stretch. Nobody flips, but it is a massive pileup, and that kind of block shouldn't have been done. It was a stupid move that shouldn't have been done. It looks cool, yeah, a big pileup, but no. Justin Allgaier, that was a dumb move on your part. You can't be doing that. Stage 2 is complete. Bubba Wallace is your stage winner. And this is when the race gets really, really stupid, in my opinion. When the race resumes with 65 laps to go, everyone starts going into immediate fuel saving mode. So everyone's going 3 wide, half throttle, making the fuel last as long as you can. I understand fuel saving is a major part of auto racing because the whole point of an endurance is to make your car last longer than your competition. But at a certain point, NASCAR needs to realize that you can't have guys running around half throttle even if they are going 3 wide. It'd be one thing if they were running full throttle and saying, look, you need to back off a little bit. Save your gas. But when everyone's in a pack on purposely going slow, it makes the final stage of the race unwatchable. And to make matters worse, everyone pits late. Nobody came into the pits till like 20 or 15 laps to go. That's way too late. By then, it's the final stage of the race. At that point, you should be getting ready to, okay, here's how I'm going to win this thing. Instead, you're coming into pits when the pit crew should be putting the stuff away. It's ridiculous. To NASCAR's credit, I really shouldn't credit NASCAR. I don't really know who I should credit for this. Unlike previous races at Daytona and Talladega, the guys who were coming in the pit weren't coming in these massive packs. Because what they used to do is all the Toyotas would pit at the same time. All the Fords would pit at the same time. All the Chevys would pit at the same time. And on paper, it makes sense. You know, on a big track like this, you need all the help you can get. But in practice, what ended up happening was a guy or two would always make a mistake coming into the pit, spin out, hit the wall, take out your competition, whatever. It got so bad, and no one was really doing anything about it. Compare that to pitting 15, 20 years ago when, I don't know, the 48 car asked the 43, hey, are you pitting soon? Cool, we'll join you. Or the 1 car asked the 9 car, hey, are you pitting soon? Awesome, we'll join you. It wasn't about OEM loyalty. It wasn't about being with your teammates, although that did play a part. It was about being with someone, anyone, to help you get in and out of the pits. But at some point in the 2010s, that changed, and we got into the thing we have now, which is every Chevy pit at the same time, every Ford pit at the same time, every Toyota pit at the same time. And thankfully, it wasn't that bad this time. Instead, they broke it down into smaller chunks, more digestible, I dare say, and it made getting in and out of the pits a lot safer than it usually is. That being said, this wasn't without its issues. Michael McDowell somehow was able to save enough fuel to last until past lap 200. When the Toyotas got back onto the track, it was speculated that they messed up their pit strategy because now they were stuck way in the back when everything got cycled out. And to a certain extent, that everyone was correct in their speculation because there was another caution with less than 10 laps to go when Denny Hamlin and Christopher Bell got into each other off of turn 4, probably the wind pushing Denny into Christopher, and we get the final caution of the race. When they rack them all up, Michael McDowell is leading. It's literally anyone's race at this point. It could be Toyota, because Bubba Wallace has the lion's share of laps led today, as well as every other Toyota in the field, like Corey Heim. It could be RFK, who could finally show that speed they had during the duels and win the Daytona 500. And who knows? Maybe Chevrolet can pull the rabbit out of the hat. We'll have to sit back and find out in this unofficial green-white checkered finish. So the racing resumes on lap 197, and this is when things go crazy. The calmness that's been here all race long is officially out the window. It's go time. With less than 3 to go, rain nowhere in sight, it's time to win the Daytona 500. So Michael McDowell holds off the pack as best as he can. Tyler Reddick has found himself up towards the top 5. Carson Hocevar is also up towards the top 5. Everyone's jockeying for position, trying to get the edge on someone. Then the pressure gets relieved. When the white flag flies, and all of a sudden, all hell breaks loose. Eric Jones hits Carson Hocevar in the bumper. Carson hits the wall, causes a massive pileup on the front stretch. No caution flies yet. If it did, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., who was ahead at the time the crash started, might have won the race. Instead, NASCAR let the race play out. The leaders go to the backstretch. Chase Elliott gets the lead. The crowd's going crazy. Tyler Reddick goes to the bottom of the track with Riley Herbst on his bumper. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. is left out to dry in the middle, and it's a drag race to the start-finish line. Chase Elliott goes up to turn 3 as the leader, exits turn 4 as the leader. Tyler Reddick has the bottom lane. He somehow makes that lane work when the fastest lane's been up high. He comes down, he takes the lead away from Chase Elliott. Riley Herbst goes up to block Elliott, causes another accident. Tyler Reddick wins the race. Joey Logano spins across the line in second. Ryan Preece, who was in the accident earlier, crosses the start-finish line backwards. Holy cow, what a finish. What's kind of funny about this whole situation is that all of Speed Weeks, the winners of the races have somehow been involved in the lawsuit NASCAR was in last year. Front Row Motorsports, one of the two teams that started the lawsuit, won the truck race on Friday. Austin Hill, by continuing his dominance at Daytona, gave Richard Childress Racing the win. Richard Childress, as you may or may not know, was called a stupid redneck in private text messages between Steve Phelps and other NASCAR executives. And of course, on Sunday, the biggest race of the year is won by 2311 Racing, the ones who headlined the NASCAR lawsuit. So overall, what did I think of this year's Daytona 500? Well, I'll be honest, I enjoyed myself. Yeah, the last fuel-saving part was baloney, but I enjoyed this one a lot. I think a big reason for my enjoyment personally is that the drivers were being smart. They weren't doing any boneheaded moves, for the most part, to get the win. They were all racing hard, and they were saving their best for the end. What do I mean by that? Well, compare the previous years where everyone was being aggressive at all times. And I think a big reason for that is because of the old winning you're in. Because winning was the only thing that matters, it gave drivers an incentive to drive stupidly and win at all cost mentality. Now that points racing is back, there's no longer that need to rush yourself or risk your equipment for a win, because getting points is more important. And I liked that. And I hope this continues into the next plate track, which I know it's Atlanta, but in my heart, it's still Talladega. If I were to grade this race, I would give it a B. It was great. It could have been better. Now, where are we next week? Oh, no. It's Atlanta. Yes, the new Atlanta Motor Speedway that's been turned into a super speedway via the repave and reconfiguration. I'm still not sure if I like this place. Yeah, it's got the right dimensions for a super speedway, but the corners are way too tight and the lanes are way too narrow. So, anything bigger than 3 wide is asking for trouble. Not to mention there's that trouble spot off of turn 4 where if you hit the wall just right, it'll send you to the infield without any warning. Ugh. And guess what? You want rain in your town? Have NASCAR come in, because there's weather in the forecast for this weekend in Atlanta. Oh no.